What if I told you that a young girl, hidden from the world during one of history's darkest times, would become one of the most famous writers in history? A girl who never became an adult would inspire millions of people with her words and courage. She lived in fear, spent years hiding from danger, and wrote her thoughts in a diary that would one day be read by people all over the world. How did an ordinary teenager become one of the most important voices of hope and humanity? This is the heartbreaking and inspiring story of Anne Frank, the girl whose diary touched the hearts of millions. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Universal English. Today, we bring you a story of courage, hope, and the power of words. It is the story of a young girl who lived during one of the most difficult periods in human history. Her name was Anne Frank. Although her life was short, her diary became one of the most famous books ever written. Through her words, millions of people have learned about war, fear, and the importance of hope. This is the remarkable story of Anne Frank, the girl who never stopped dreaming, even in the darkest times. So sit back, relax, and travel back to Europe in the early 20th century as we discover her unforgettable story. A baby is born. Our story begins on June 12, 1929. In the city of Frankfurt, a baby girl was born. Her full name was Anneliese Marie Frank. She became known to the world simply as Anne Frank. Her father, Otto Frank, was a businessman. Her mother was Edith Frank, and also had an older sister named Margot Frank. The family loved each other and lived a peaceful life. At that time, nobody could imagine the difficulties that were waiting for them. A dangerous time begins. When Anne was still very young, Germany began to change. A political leader named Adolf Hitler came to power. His government introduced unfair laws against Jewish people. Life became increasingly difficult and dangerous for Jewish families. Otto Frank realized that his family was no longer safe. He decided to leave Germany and start a new life elsewhere. It was a difficult decision, but he wanted to protect his family. A new home in Amsterdam. The Frank family moved to Amsterdam. At first, life improved, and quickly learned a new language and made many friends. She was cheerful, energetic, and loved talking. Teachers remembered her as a lively and intelligent student, and also loved reading and writing stories. She dreamed of becoming a writer one day. For several years, life seemed happy again. But dark times were approaching. War comes to Europe. In 1939, the World War II began. Soon, the Netherlands was occupied by Nazi Germany. New rules were introduced for Jewish people. Jewish children had to attend separate schools. Jewish families could not go to certain places. Many freedoms were taken away, and could no longer enjoy the simple things she loved. Life became increasingly difficult. The Frank family lived with growing fear and uncertainty. A special birthday gift. On June 12, 1942, Anne celebrated her 13th birthday. Among her presents was a small red diary. She loved it immediately, and decided to use it as a personal journal. She named her diary Kitty, and wrote to it as if it were a close friend. At first, she wrote about ordinary things: school, friends, family, dreams. She had no idea that her diary would one day become one of the most famous books in the world. Going into hiding. Only a few weeks later, everything changed. Margot received an order to report to the authorities. The Frank family feared that they would be separated and taken away. Otto Frank acted quickly. The family went into hiding. They moved into a secret place behind Otto's business office. This hidden area later became known as the Anne Frank house. The family could not tell anyone where they were going. They left their home and many of their belongings behind. Their new life would be filled with silence, fear, and uncertainty. Life in the secret annex. The Frank family was not alone in hiding. Several other people joined them. The small rooms became crowded. During the day, everyone had to remain very quiet. They could not run. They could not shout. Even dropping something on the floor could be dangerous, and found this life very difficult. She missed her friends. She missed going outside. She missed living a normal life. But she continued writing in her diary. Her diary became her best friend. It gave her comfort during the hardest moments. The girl who never stopped dreaming, despite the fear and difficulties, and remained hopeful. She continued reading books and studying. She wrote stories and thought about her future. She dreamed of becoming a famous writer. She believed that one day the war would end and life would become normal again. Inside the small secret rooms, a young girl continued to hope, dream, and write. Those writings would one day inspire millions of people around the world. But the greatest challenges of Anne Frank's life were still ahead. The cheerful young girl from Germany had lost her freedom, but not her hope. Hidden from the world, she continued writing and dreaming of a better future. But difficult days were coming, and her diary would soon become even more important. A life of silence and fear. Life inside the secret annex was very difficult. The people hiding there had to be extremely careful. During the day, workers were in the building below them. Because of this, Anne and the others had to remain quiet. They could not run. They could not laugh loudly. They could not open the windows. Even simple activities became dangerous. Sometimes they sat silently for hours and missed the outside world. She missed fresh air, sunshine, and the freedom to walk outside whenever she wanted. For a young teenager, this life was very hard. Yet she tried to remain hopeful and appreciated their kindness deeply. Their courage reminds us that even during terrible times, there are people willing to help others. Acts of kindness can make an enormous difference. The end of the secret annex. After more than 2 years in hiding, tragedy struck. In August 1944, the secret annex was discovered. The people hiding there were arrested. The exact circumstances of how they were discovered remain uncertain. Anne's life changed forever. She was forced to leave the place where she had spent more than 2 years writing her thoughts and dreams. The diary that she loved so much remained behind. At that moment, nobody knew that those pages would one day become famous throughout the world. A journey into uncertainty. After being arrested, Anne and her family were separated from their normal lives completely. They faced an uncertain future. The dreams of becoming a writer seemed very far away. Yet the diary she left behind survived. One of the helpers later found Anne's writings and carefully kept them safe. This simple act would preserve one of history's most important personal stories. Words that would live forever. Anne Frank was only a teenager. She never considered herself famous. She simply wrote honestly about her life, fears, and hopes. But sometimes the most powerful stories come from ordinary people living through extraordinary events. Her diary captured something timeless. The thoughts of a young girl who wanted freedom, happiness, and a better future. The world would soon discover her words, and millions of people would never forget them. The young girl who dreamed of becoming a writer had filled her diary with hope, fear, and courage. Although her future was uncertain, her words were about to begin an incredible journey of their own, the final months. After being arrested in August 1944, Anne Frank and the others who had been hiding in the secret annex were taken away. Their lives became even more difficult. The family was separated from their home and from the dreams they had held onto for so long. Anne and her sister, Margot, remained together and tried to support each other, even during these terrible times, and continued to show courage. She had spent more than 2 years writing about hope, freedom, and the future. Now she faced the greatest challenge of her young life. No one knew what would happen next. A father left alone. As the war came to an end, only Anne's father, Otto Frank, survived. When he finally returned to Amsterdam, he discovered that his wife and daughters would not be coming home. He was heartbroken. Friends and helpers welcomed him back and gave him something very special. They handed him Anne's diary. At first, Otto found it difficult to read the pages. The diary was filled with memories of his daughter, but as he continued reading, he realized something extraordinary. Anne had become a talented writer. Her words were honest, thoughtful, and full of hope. A dream comes true. Anne had once written that she wanted to become a writer. She wanted people to remember her after her death. In a way that she could never have imagined, her dream came true. Otto Frank decided that the world should read Anne's diary. He believed that her story could teach people important lessons about humanity, courage, and hope. In 1947, her diary was published under the title, The Diary of a Young Girl. At first, only a small number of people read it. But slowly, more and more readers discovered Anne's story. Soon, the book became famous around the world. A voice for millions. Anne Frank's diary was different from history books. It did not talk about battles or military leaders. Instead, it told the story of an ordinary girl. A girl who loved reading. A girl who argued with her family. A girl who had dreams and fears. Because of this, millions of people felt connected to her. Readers saw themselves in Anne. Her diary gave a human face to one of history's darkest periods. Her words helped people understand the suffering, courage, and hopes of ordinary families during the war. The diary travels around the world. Over the years, Anne's diary was translated into many languages. It became one of the most widely read books in the world. Students studied it in schools. Teachers used it to teach history and human rights. Millions of copies were sold. People from different countries and cultures read Anne's words and felt inspired by her courage. The little girl who once sat quietly in a hidden room had become one of the world's most famous writers. The Anne Frank House. The building where Anne and her family hid still exists today. It has become the Anne Frank House. Every year, visitors from around the world come to see the secret rooms where Anne lived and wrote her diary. They walk through the small spaces and imagine what life must have been like there. For many people, the visit is emotional. It reminds them of the importance of freedom, kindness, and human dignity. The house has become a symbol of remembrance and hope. Anne's famous words. Anne Frank wrote many beautiful and thoughtful things in her diary. One of her most famous ideas was that despite everything, she still believed that people were truly good at heart. These words continue to inspire millions. How could a young girl, living in fear and uncertainty, still believe in goodness? Perhaps that is why her story remains so powerful. She chose hope instead of hatred. She chose dreams instead of despair. Her words remind us that even in difficult times, we can choose kindness and compassion. Lessons from Anne Frank's life. What can we learn from Anne Frank? First, never lose hope. Even during the darkest moments, and continue to dream about the future. Second, words are powerful. A simple diary written by a teenager changed the world. Third, appreciate freedom. Anne's story reminds us that freedom and peace should never be taken for granted. Finally, be kind. One act of kindness can change someone's life. The people who helped Anne's family risked everything because they chose compassion. The power of writing. Anne believed in the power of writing. She wrote about ordinary things, but her words became extraordinary. Her diary proves that every person's story matters. You do not need to be famous or powerful to make a difference. Sometimes, one voice can inspire millions. One book can change hearts. One story can help the world remember important lessons. And Frank's words continue to teach and inspire people of all ages. A legacy that lives forever. More than 80 years have passed since Anne wrote in her diary. Yet her story remains alive. Her diary continues to be read in schools and homes around the world. Her name has become a symbol of courage, hope, and humanity. Although her life was short, her influence has been enormous. Millions of people who never met Anne Frank feel connected to her through her words. This is the power of a true legacy. A person may leave the world, but their ideas and their story can live forever. The story of Anne Frank is the story of hope in difficult times. A young girl who dreamed of becoming a writer achieved her dream in a way she never imagined. She taught the world about courage. She taught the world about kindness. And she reminded us that even during darkness, hope can survive. Her diary continues to inspire people to value freedom, appreciate peace, and believe in the goodness of humanity. Because one girl with a diary changed the way millions of people understand history. And one voice, no matter how small, can change the world. Just as Anne Frank did. Thank you for watching this inspiring biography on Universal English. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Keep learning, keep reading, and never stop believing in the power of hope. See you in the next inspiring biography on Universal English.